Hi, I'm Caitlin Doyle, and I'm happy to be sharing some poems with you today. I'll start by reading a poem called For Flannery Andalusia. And it's a poem I wrote addressing the Southern fiction writer Flannery O'Connor. The poem has a couple of quotes from a typical Catholic Mass in it, so I'll read them to you now so you recognize them when they come up. O Lord, I am not worthy to receive you, but only say the word. The poem starts with a quote by Flannery herself. Art transcends its limitations only by staying within them. For Flannery at Andalusia. Communion was the measure of your days, the host dissolving in your mouth between hard fact and metaphor, Christ's body no less real than yours and equally unseen. A pair of crutches made your long legs moot, your arms obscured by bands that strapped each crutch to you. Restriction wed you to routine, the sicker you became. O Lord, I am not worthy to receive you. Early Mass, each service echoing the last, but only say the word. Sleep came and went. The grass above your grave to be next to your father's grew, was cut, and grew. Pain pressed on you, retreated, rushed. The grace that made it pass for long enough to let you write a little every morning meant you must be blessed, meant each right word absolved you for the way your life kept quiet, what your work confessed. No sin was more original than yours, creating lives that couldn't be redeemed, except in language only you possessed. This poem is called The Doll Museum, and I wrote this after visiting a museum that had different dolls on display, different dolls from different periods of history in different geographical locations. So, for example, dolls that Egyptian kids played with. I started thinking about how these different kinds of dolls over time compare to the dolls that contemporary children play with, the different lessons dolls have taught. The Doll Museum. The stone dolls, excavated from a tomb, are eyeless, armless, heavy for a child to hold. Not like the dolls that lined the room my sister and I shared. Their bodies light and bendable, their eyelids mobile, hair so real it tangled with our own at night. And while we were asleep, they came to life. We never pressed our cheeks to death like girls who played with stone dolls did. The doctor's knife could not have caught my sister more off guard or left me less alone. I had my dolls, though soon they lay on tables in the yard with price tags. Even then they looked alive, survivors with no sickness to survive. This next poem is called 13, and it's a poem addressing a girl who's just turned 13, and it's also exploring the number 13 in myth, tradition, the Bible, history, and there's actually a quote from the Bible that appears. I'll read it to you so you recognize it when it comes up. 12 years they served to Doyle, and the 13th they rebelled. 13. There are as many years in you as witches in a coven, devil's dozen, number of steps to the noose, no use to rub a rabbit's foot or knock on wood. You've had one too many birthdays than you should. 12 years they served to Doyle, and the 13th they rebelled. So you learned to read from the book your father held before the fire, but the 13th psalm proved him a liar. And in your heart you said the multiplication tables must go higher. And then you began to bleed, old dress filling with new need. There were 12 branches in your father's book, 12 kinds of precious stone. There were 12 loaves and 12 bright springs. But now there's a month no calendar brings. And now there's an hour no church bell rings. There were 12 gates and 12 golden cups and 12 fruits in the tree. 12 white pillars and 12 tall suns. But now there's a gate where no boy swings. There are as many years in you as petals on a black-eyed Sue, seats at the Last Supper, spades in a deck, no sense to hang a cross around your neck or throw salt over your shoulder. Your mother stiffens when you hold her. Your mother pulls away and you remain on the steps of the school. She won't come again before the fall begins to turn. It may be too late then for all but snow and nests below the leaves and trees whose shaking is uncontrollable. Give me back the child consolable. Taking your hand may squeeze too hard. Taking you home may not say a word, but always audible. Give me back the child consolable. Always heard your mother invisible as you turn and climb the steps, or learn that an eclipse is the moon across the sun, or discover that your age is divisible by none, or put your clothing on before the mirror. Never nearer as you turn, or discern a face ever clearer. What is happening? An opening? A breach? A loop of rope? A door? One step more. The hands can't catch. The hands can't reach. The clock is wound, but you're beyond. Now I'll share a poem called If Siegfried and Roy Had Never Met. And it's a poem about the Vegas performers, Siegfried and Roy, the famous pair who do live shows, including wild animals and magic. And Roy was attacked famously by a tiger during one of the shows. This poem asks the question, what would have happened? What would their lives have been like if this famous pair had never met? So it kind of projects into what their different paths would have been. As a way of asking that question sort of in all of our lives, what if one small thing had been different? How would everything else have unfolded? So it's called If Siegfried and Roy Had Never Met. No flaming ring, no disappearing elephant. Siegfried behind a circus booth in Munich, half an apple on his palm. He holds it out to show the children it's real. See the seeds? Roy at the Bremen Zoo, locking eyes with the tigers, making sounds that straighten their ears. They tilt their heads, their tails craze with flicking. And Siegfried, a silk scarf in his other hand. He whips it through the air until it blurs into a wheel. The apple will be whole again on the count of 3. 1, 2. But an ice cream bell, the children running away, and Roy reaching through the bars. No theater rigged with mirrors, no double-chambered boxes. It's only in Siegfried's dream a trap door opens on him like a mouth. Only in Roy's dream a mouth closes on him like a trap door. The tiger's teeth sink into nothing, obscured by smoke. The applause is never ending. This is called Backward Sonnet for a Forward Thinker. And it's a sonnet literally written backwards. It's addressing a scientist. When you hear the line, he's photographed for Time, Time is Time magazine. Backward Sonnet for a Forward Thinker. If only I knew now what I'll know soon, he likes to say. His office is immune to order, His lab, the opposite. His team built a molecular machine that walks on strands of DNA. His childhood dream was to become a poet. He gives talks on nanosystems every fall. The hall is packed. Old ends demand new means, he starts. His intro doesn't change. The past's a wall between the present and the future. Charts and tables, fluctuating year to year, support his points. He's photographed for time. He whispers to machines that can't yet hear. Turn right, turn left, step back, walk sideways, climb. Thank you for watching.